and you need a helping hand.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of music and a conversation. The great voice of Billy Dean. I think it's a baritone, deep, rumbly, beautiful voice. How's everyone doing? It is great to be back here. Had a wonderful week. Hope you did too. And of course, Billy appears on my new album, Alone Together, which did come out Friday. And there's been so many fun things happening with that. And I so appreciate everything. We had, of course, the great big virtual album release concert. And album came out Friday, as I said. We have a lot of fun things coming up over the next couple of weeks. But this show is all about featuring the guests on Alone Together. And you know, it's a duets album. So, of course, it was only fair and right for me to invite one of my dearest friends, that a gentleman I love so very much, on the show. And he, by the way, did You've Got a Friend, classic Carole King, James Taylor song, You Got a Friend. But it's a brand new arrangement. It's, of course, it's a lot of fun to always perform with him. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Billy Dean. Billy!
Michael, what a great name for an album. I mean, you captured so much in the title of this album, what we were all going through last year as musicians. It's just a brilliant title of an album. It really is.
You know, thank you for saying that. It was interesting because this album really was not an original plan, as you know. Every guest on this album was just a guest on my virtual shows. And then all suddenly, after each week, people start asking about, what about making an album of all of these wonderful duets you have done throughout the year? And I didn't really think it was going to happen because, you know, there was a lot of red tape to get through. There was a lot of wonderful artists on the album, including yourself, Billy. And what I found out is everybody said yes before I could even finish the sentence about putting this album together. So here we are. Album came out this Friday. And by the way, I am so excited about having you on this, Billy. So thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate you sharing your audience and with an old country singer, songwriter like myself. I just love you as a person, but you're also just got to be in the top 5 class of musicians, and you're just a star. You're one of the best I've ever worked with, man. And we don't get to work with, you know, wind instruments that much in country music, and you just, man, you add so much to what I do anyway when it comes to painting a picture, writing a song. The way you handle yourself and your instrument, man, it goes beyond any genre as far as I'm concerned.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gave Billy $5 to say all of these nice things. No, but you're right. You know, it's an interesting pairing for you and I in general. But you know what? That's what music is all about. It doesn't care what genre you're in. Music is music, and why not having, you know, country or you know, Billy, by the way, you are a country artist, a very famous one at it. But you know, I look at you as just a wonderful songwriter and musician that can pretty much sing in any genre, if you will. And I'm so glad that you're on this album because, yes, there are a lot of collaborations with people in my business. You know, the jazz. So you got some jazz singers on there. You got some R&B. You got trombone. You got other saxophonists. But then you got Billy Dean singing a classic Carole King. But that's what's so cool, that it's it takes all kinds, if you will, and to make a well-rounded project. And I couldn't be happier with how we end up doing this song. How we took separate sections and made it a real duet sax and vocal.
But you worked so hard on this, and I know how much work went into not only bringing the show that you did every week on Stage It and watching the you put that together, helping me hours on the phone trying to work out all of my technical issues. You know, we were all fighting for our musical life. You know,
yeah.
trying to stay connected with our fans. And
I mean, it was pure survival at that moment for all of us. You know,
absolutely.
Monetarily was one thing, but also really just creatively, you know, to stay afloat. So you're right. You know, we all were fighting to figure out what this was all going to be like, what this next year was going to be like for us.
Well, the good news here in Florida, where I'm at, I'm on a little island where I grew up just north of here in Florida, in the Panhandle of Florida, which is up in North Florida. Things here have started, you know, getting to some, you know, getting back to normal to a little bit, to, you know, as people get vaccinated. So shows are starting to happen a little bit more, and I'm excited about that because I know people are.
Yeah.
You know, I know they're tired of sitting in front of their computer and they're ready to get out to a live audience, and it's
very true.
And it's definitely happening down here in Florida. Things are really starting to pick up.
And us musicians are ready to get off the couch too, you know. so Billy, you know, I wanna talk a little bit about your beginning. So obviously you've lived in Nashville for many years. You got your big break there, but I knew you grew up in Florida, right?
I grew up in Florida and playing a lot of the local beach bars. My dad had a band, and it's where I really cut my teeth on, you know, learning an instrument, playing with a band. I went to Nashville when I was about 19, 20 years old by way of a contest, a national contest, and there were some judges in the contest that were in the music industry, and it really encouraged me to move to Nashville. I performed an original song that I wrote, and that turned out to be a really good thing because Nashville, as you know, is really about the song. You know, it starts with the song. And so I did. I took their advice, moved to Nashville, and became a songwriter for EMI Music, and then went on to record for Capitol Records. Got signed about the same time that Garth Brooks. A lot of people have heard of Garth Brooks. We were label mates and kind of watched that whole thing explode. You know, it was, and I believe that we brought, you know, people like Garth and myself and some other, Vince Gill, as you know, good friend of yours. I think we brought some of that, you know, that folk rock, classic rock, that influence to country music when we moved to Nashville. I was bringing a lot of, you know, James Taylor, like it's why I love Carole King, James Taylor, more of that singer-songwriter style of music to country music, and it seemed to fit. The timing was pretty good. It worked out pretty good. It was just a timing thing. Thank goodness. It was a change of the guard. You know, the young people were coming in and getting played on the radio.
By the way, you covered a lot of the stuff I was going to ask you about and what you just said, and I love that. No, you're fantastic. You're such a great interview, Billy, because you're really covering all the ground. But if I may back up a little bit, and that's so, is it true you were a part of the TV show Star Search?
I was. Ed McMahon. Yep.
Ed McMahon, right? So now, first of all, when that must have been the '80s sometime, or?
Yes, that was for me. That was like contest number 2.
Okay.
The first one when I was about 20, and then Ed McMahon Star Search. They came auditioning people in Nashville. It was around '88, I believe, '87 or '88, and I went in and did a little, you know, just a video tape of me singing, and I got called to be on the show, and you'd win you win week to week to week. And I won a couple weeks, and then I got the flu of all things, man. I got like laryngitis, and I mean I hardly could even get through the show, but I got through it anyway. But as it turned out, because of that TV exposure, that's what really sped up, you know, Nashville kind of paying attention and getting me my record deal because of that.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to lead into. So you were already in Nashville when the Star Search thing was happening, right?
That's right.
Right. And then how did you then transition to getting your first record deal and making your first album?
You know, so Nashville I became a demo singer and a jingle singer. I've been support myself playing clubs and playing bars, and then I got enough studio work as a singer. Landed a couple of national commercials, and but I was singing demos for songwriters who were pitching their songs to
Sure.
different record labels, and a couple of really powerful songwriters and publishers that was a client of mine I was working for. They had written so many hits, and they got a shot at being a producer. They wanted to produce an act, and they chose me, and they helped me get a record deal over on Capitol Records, and we did a couple of albums together, very successful. So it really started kind of from that. Yeah, and that's the first album right there.
That's the first album right there, isn't it? Yeah.
No hairstylist, no clothes stylist. Had to grab that stuff out of my closet.
Well, here's another thing you and I have in common: a very large mullet. But that was what was happening back in those days,
I blame Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon on the mullet hairstyle.
That's right. Yeah, right. That was right.
Remember that? Patrick
Yeah, I didn't really have anybody to blame but myself, but that's fine. Hey, Billy, I want to go back to I got more stuff to ask you, but and I know we have a very limited time today because you have your own show right here after at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 here, and but before we get to that, I want to go back to Alone Together and play a little bit of the video of you and I from originally from my show, and then we went in and remixed and mastered for the album. But let's run a little bit of "You've Got a Friend."
You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You got a friend.
That's not enough for me.
I'm telling you.
Billy, I mean, are you a baritone? Is that what you're considered? I mean, that beautiful, big, warm, but enormous.
I am, Michael, and that's the reason I got into country music at a young age, because man, I couldn't sing along with a lot of the rock music because the singers were tenors, way up there.
Right.
And I think it just kind of, kind of forced me over here into the country music world.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, that's me.
Right.
I'm a big old low baritone.
Well, the whole song is now out on YouTube, so you can watch the whole video and song. Of course, the album came out Friday, Alone Together. You can just go to michaellington.com and get your copy. We do signed copies as well. But if you can go to any of your digital or anywhere you really get your music and get Alone Together and hear the full song, because it really needs to be heard in its full length. It is such a beautiful rendition on your part, Billy. It really is.
Well, man, thank you for sending that arrangement. Man, the acoustic guitar, the way I like to play, fit right in there with that arrangement you sent me, and we've always had great chemistry. I've got some of my best friends in the world that are songwriters, and we can't write one song between us. But we're great friendships, and then there's people that you just have chemistry with musically. And I've always felt that way when you and I get thrown into these parties where, hey, would y'all play a couple of numbers? And we look at each other, and there's this invisible communication that happens. And it's just because that's how great you are, man. And it's
thanks.
really fun to play with you. I think there's a lot of chemistry. It shows in our little video.
Well, yeah, I think so too. Even we were alone together doing this video. You were in Florida, I was here. But, Billy, this is the thing with music and friendship. I actually met you first. We met in New York, in Corning, New York, if you remember. We were introduced by a mutual friend. And before we had played a note together, I just knew I liked you. I knew I loved you. I mean, it was like one of those, I love this guy right here, And then the music came later. And I think that is just what happens is like when you have that chemistry, and you're just so darn talented that it only is icing on the cake, But talking about chemistry, Billy, tell me about your relationship with the great Kenny Rogers.
Oh man, Kenny. Kenny and I. He was always so gracious to share the spotlight of his career with some of the young generation that was coming along. He was always great to pass down some wisdom and career, advice. And oh man, that picture right there was that was in Scotland, Ireland. I mean, Scotland. Where was that? Glasgow, Scotland, I believe.
Right.
And I asked Kenny, this is one of the last times we ever got to sit alone together. I'm so glad I asked him. I asked him, I said, would you let me just play guitar and let's sing Sweet Music Man together so I'll have it on my iPhone, just for posterity. And he did. And he was just such a gracious artist. He broke a lot of barriers down for country music, going and working with the Commodores, working with Lionel Richie, who produced Lady for him.
Right.
And he took country music beyond, the normal boundaries.
Well, he was really a major crossover artist. Major. I mean, Islands in the Stream was probably a #1 on the pop and country charts. I'm sure. And Lady too, probably. And.
He had an R&B soul,
Right.
He had so much soul, and he was just a great, great recording artist. He was like Sinatra and those guys. He'd go in and sing a take, 3 times, and then go have lunch. But Lionel Richie told me, he said, I didn't let him do that when he recorded Lady. He came in and sang 3 amazing takes, and then Lionel made him kind of work on a little pieces here and there, and he really made Kenny work at it. And that was a great story. One of my favorite stories of being with Kenny was when he introduced us to Lionel Richie and told us all about the story behind Lady. And that's what I would do, Michael, every day at 5:00. Kenny would come in, get with this band in his dressing room, and it was kind of it was like a guy's time, the band time. It's when you could ask him any story, and he knew, nothing was going to leave that dressing room. And it was some of my favorite times was right before we would have catering, when he would come into his dressing room and we'd get to visit.
What a beautiful thing. I mean, he just seems like such a great guy, and it's definitely one of these guys I would have loved to meet. But maybe sometime later, way later, it could happen. But Billy, I'm grabbing my horn because I'm hoping that you would play a little bit for us, and you could play anything you want. But I'd love to. Maybe one of your songs would be so great to hear, and I'll noodle around a little bit with your permission.
Absolutely. I'm picking this song. It's a song I wrote with the great Hall of Fame songwriter Richard Lee. Wrote songs like "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue," and we got together, and he said, Billy, this is a melody that probably nobody in country music will write with me. And I love the melody, and I always wanted a saxophone on this song, and country music, they just wouldn't let me do it. So I get to hear it today the way I always wanted to hear it. So it's called Somewhere in My Broken Heart. You made up your mind, it was time, it was over. After we had come so far, I think there's enough pieces of forgiveness somewhere in my broken heart. I would not have chosen the road you have taken. It has left us miles apart. I think I can still find the will to keep going somewhere in my broken heart. find out who you are. Oh, and I will keep my love unspoken somewhere in my broken heart. I hope that in time you will find what you long for. Love that's written in the stars. And when you finally do, I think you will see it's somewhere in my broken, somewhere in my broken, somewhere in my broken heart. Oh. Oh, that's how I always wanted to hear it.
Billy, Billy, listen, this just, we got to get together sooner,
Yes.
sooner than later, because for you folks that are watching Billy and I, this is what we do when we get together. That every single time, well, there is also wine involved in the get-togethers, but there's always music like this. And, you know, we have the show, and then we have the after show when it's just us sitting outside on a patio with a glass of wine and
A cigar.
and a little cigar, and we're sitting with a sax and guitar and just continue it way into the night. And this is because this makes us feel so good inside just to do this for us. And I know it has the effect on people as well. But Billy, just going to put my sax down here. But Billy, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. And tell us, we have a couple of minutes before you got to go, but is it every Wednesday that you do your happy hour live stream? Or
I do.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I do a happy hour, and I'll play cover songs, some of my songs. I even play some of the new songs that I've been writing. I've been writing more really than I ever have. Reba McEntire and I just finished a song together. And just writing more than I ever have, and I like to play some of the new stuff on.
Oh, that's cool.
The supporters on the Facebook show, and so you can find us on my Facebook Live. It's just you just type in Billy Dean or Facebook / Billy Dean, and it should come up. And yeah, we do that for an hour, and usually we'll do it from off the dock of the bay back here behind the house, which overlooks the bay. And I'll tell you, Michael, so many crazy things happen. We've had dolphins fighting out there. We've had pelicans dive bombing us almost. You never know what's going to happen. It's almost kind of a more of a well, it's definitely live. I just say
it's a bit of a scene. It's a bit of a scene with some music.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Billy, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being on Alone Together. I am so happy we actually did this on an album instead of just Jeff's living room or wherever we were playing, and much more to come, Billy. I look forward to seeing you again. Hopefully it'll be the end of April when I come to Florida. But, lots of love.
I see you at the Crush and during the Crush in Northern California.
Oh, in Napa? Yeah, sure.
In October.
Yeah, well, I will see you sooner than later, I promise you. And sending you much love and good luck on your show today. So everybody check out Billy Dean. Are you at the bay today? Are you on the dock of the bay today? Or
I am. I'm going,
all right.
I'm going there right now. I'm going to the deck right now.
Okay, all right, great. Well, check Billy out on...
We're going to try to make it over to the dock. So.
All right. Billy, thank you so
Buddy,
much.
I appreciate it. And Alone Together, what a great project. Thank you for bringing that from your heart and include me, pal.
I appreciate you so much, Billy. Thank you. You know, I could have gone an hour, that is for sure. Billy Dean is just such an amazing friend and musician to hang out with, and there's nothing he can't play, so we always come up with fun things. But, you know, I also appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope these music and conversation sessions are fun for you, so you can learn a little bit more about the artist on just in general, but also they're featured on Alone Together. So again, the album came out this Friday, and you can get signed copies, you can get unsigned copies if you like. You can go to wherever you normally get your music and get yourself a copy. If you do want to sign, you got to go to michaellington.com, and it'll take you to my merchandise store, and we have them signed there for you. But before I leave, I will say that, you know, I've taken a few weeks off from my regular stage show from my studio here, but I do have one coming up. It will be a little bit of a return after my my big album release concert, which was not done from here, but on April 18th at 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be back with another live show, intimate, up close and personal from my studio here. It's called a Soulful Sunday because we are going to do some of the more soulful music that I've recorded throughout my career. And it's going to be a great show. Also have a very special guest on the show. So you can get more information on Michael Lington as well for that show and get your tickets. It's pay what you can. Just love to have you there. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week when I have the great Kenny Lattimore on the program. See you later, guys.